Now, when we left off last week, Nehemiah was praying, and there we left him all week long, but he's been praying for days and days, as you remember. He's wrestling before God. He's weeping, he's mourning, he's fasting because of a report he's heard from a brother of his about what conditions are like back in Jerusalem. The Jews back home, they're living in rubble, they're dispirited, they're dejected. And the greatest sign of how bad things were is that the walls around Jerusalem are in rubble. And back then, that was like a flashing neon sign to the surrounding culture that this was a city you didn't have to worry about. This city was hopeless. You know, when you drive by a house and you see that the yard is a mess and the home is in disrepair, that speaks volumes about what's going on inside the house. But all this is about to change. As Nehemiah prays, 1,000,000 dreams are reawakening within him. A vision is birthing inside his heart. And how do we know? Take a look at the very last verse of Nehemiah chapter 1. Actually, just kind of a middle verse. We don't know if it's chapter 1 or chapter 2. Where he says this, "Now I was cupbearer to the king." But in this sentence, "Now I was cupbearer to the king," we have our first teaching point, which is this. To change our lives for the better, we have to find a new vision for our lives, which is the ability to see a new future for ourselves or our church. Vision is a word that has to do with seeing. It's a picture in our minds and our hearts of what the future has in store for us. And we understand this in a basic level. All I have to do is say the word summer vacation, and what comes to mind? Pop out some destinations for me. Summer vacations. Beach, Florida. Bahamas. Sounds like a Beach Boys song. Mountains. When I said summer vacation, how many of you immediately pictured a map? Nobody did. You had a picture in your mind of a place, a beach, a mountain, hiking. That's what vision is. That's how it starts. We're going to Yellowstone, and you say Yellowstone, and a picture comes to mind of Old Faithful, gawking at the geysers or being chased and hurled by a buffalo. It's a picture. That's why we call it vision. And people with a vision can see two things at once. Write these down. People with vision can first see what is. They're not afraid to be honest about what they see around them. Nehemiah, we saw this in chapter 1. When his brother came and told him the report of what was going on back in Jerusalem, do you remember? Nehemiah, it says he asked his brother questions about it. He didn't have to do that because he was the cupbearer. In other words, he was at the top of his professional career. Nehemiah had it made. He had arrived at that place that you and I are trying to get to, a place where we don't have another worry. The bank account set, retirement set, we are there. But Nehemiah was so troubled by this report he heard that he asked his brother questions. Tell me more about it. He saw the reality of what was happening in his homeland and with his people, and it broke his heart. And a person with vision can see what's going on around them. They're not Pollyannish about things. But a person with vision can also see a second thing. They can see what can be. Nehemiah knew it didn't have to be this way. He knew that Jerusalem had a greater destiny than to be a third-rate nation. He knew it because God had put it in His Word. And he also knew something else, that there was something in him that could make a difference. There was something more inside of him than a cupbearer. I'm sure he didn't know at that precise moment what it was, but he knew what Jesus would later teach, that of those who are given much, what? Much is expected, and God had given him much. And if God had given him money and power and influence, then it was for more than his own security and comfort. What else was Nehemiah capable of than being a cupbearer? The rest of the story is going to tell us. We're going to find out that there's a city builder inside of Nehemiah. He didn't know that. And we're going to find later on that there's a governor inside of Nehemiah. If you had said to Nehemiah at the time, one day, boy, you're going to be a governor, he would have said, ha ha, governor, what, are you drunk? But there was. I wonder what visions God would awaken in your hearts and minds today. And you at home, what visions God would awaken in you right now